chance and you'll go better.
Thank you.
One of them is called Historia.
No, actually, you're
Content over everything!
no, actually, you're wrong.
Your mind will be changed by experience.
You're wrong because actually composition is the best way to
Understand someone else's viewpoint,
to
yes.
understand somebody else's
But in
viewpoint.
terms of actually changing your mental state and mental being, being able to see things differently through the eyes of a Christian, through the eyes of God, you have to have experience it.
Yeah, I agree. Experience does play into it, but it seems to me that the experience you're talking about is highly subjective, and also it cannot be like the example you gave about the blind person being healed.
Yeah.
We don't know if in the very beginning that person was even blind. We don't know if he doesn't have some mental health issues that it makes him think he's blind. And when someone prays and he feels relaxed, then he can see again. When he was always able to see, but he had some mental issues.
That man was in a car accident that rendered him blind physically. Medicine and all the science said he was never going to be able to see again. He went to church.
How did you measure that? How did you measure that? How
Science measured that he was never going to be able to see again.
How did you measure that? How did you measure that he was blind and then because of that specific prayer, he became unblind?
Because after 5 minutes of prayer, he opened his eyes and could see.
Well,
I was there. About a couple of hundred other people were there in the congregation who saw that happen. And that has happened several times to so many different people. They've received prayer and have now been able to.
Scientifically speaking, you cannot verify that at all. I can tell you I'm blind, and I can bring somebody and he can do a prayer over me, and then I can say I can see that.
Blind. You cannot scientifically. Are you telling me that medicine cannot tell you if someone's blind?
I'm telling you, this example you've given is a very, very weak example, because I have countless testimonies I can give to you of so-and-so being blind and having a prayer and then feeling good about themselves and being able to do such and such.
Sorry.
These are all accounts.
How do you know that God did it?
And that's another thing. How do you know that this is actually God and not something else?
That's the thing. That's why I'm saying to him that he will never understand it because he doesn't have faith and he hasn't experienced it.
Where else do you use faith?
Where else do you use faith?
Where in your life do you use faith?
In everything I do. Every time I get up in the morning, I have faith that I'll be able to get through the day and come back alive without getting freak accidents before I get hit by a car, without being...
Is that faith? That's not
That is faith to me.
That sounds like anxiety.
You do that thing every day.
Yeah.
If you said to yourself, I'm not going to have faith.
If you don't have faith in God, you don't know where your life will be. It's a sense of
Really?
security. It's a sense of assurance.
No, it's a sense of anxiety. You're afraid.
There's a difference between anxiety and faith.
You're afraid to face the world without a God, so you have to put a God there to make you feel comfortable.
And why can't you live the world with a God?
No, you
What's the
can.
harm?
Obviously,
What's
you
the harm in
can.
living
It's
the
not
world with
not a matter of harm. It's a matter of where is it coming from? Is it coming from your sense of you're saying that actually God exists and it's rationalizable, or is it coming from a place of insecurity and anxiety about the world that you have to put a God in there?
It doesn't have to be rational. It doesn't have to be rational.
Well, if it's not rationalizable, then I would think that really and truly, like all the other religious people I've spoken to, it comes from a place of anxiety about not being able to face the world on your own terms. You have to face the world on some. Yes, yeah. You're kind of putting something else in there to compensate. It's like it's like to compensate for that lack of security. But just because, let me just finish this. Just because you're putting something in there, just because it makes you feel good and it gives you a purpose, that doesn't at all mean that it's accurate or that it even exists.
Just like the children of Father Christmas, yeah?
Yeah, children are a
It's
perfect
not
example.
like Father Christmas whatsoever.
It is.
I know people think, oh my God, it's like, oh, it's just like an imaginary thing that people say just to comfort them. But that's what I'm saying. You have to
That's
experience.
that's human behaviour, you know, from time.
Yeah.
We don't know where we come from.
Exactly. We're anxious about.
Yeah, it's dark.
We
And
want
isn't that how
we
science
want
came from? Trying to figure out things,
observable
that we don't know.
things.
Why can't religion do the same?
It can do the
It
same,
can,
and
it
it does
can,
do
and
the
it
same.
does, yeah.
But is it real?
Is it accurate?
I believe it is because I have experienced.
Yeah, you
This
might
is what I'm
believe
coming
it.
back to. I have experienced.
But that is not.
And that's
you have
why
to
I'm saying
understand, with
that
all
you
due
don't
respect.
understand because you have not experienced it.
No.
I am telling you both. When you experience the act
Are
of
you
God,
sure you
I am
experienced it?
I am so sure.
What
What is exactly?
I am
what is
so
your
sure.
What's
I
the
have
method of
experienced
your
God
experience?
so
What
many
did you have to do
times.
to verify that?
You
What's the
just sit down
validity
and
of it?
pray. You just sit down and pray.
Pray to
And like
who?
I'm saying, you never know if it's going to happen or
You
not.
never know.
If it's going to happen or not, but when it does happen, and you can literally look at it and say that was God.
I'm not being facetious, but it's like
I understand,
it's like a mental disorder.
Yeah.
this thing must happen to me, no?
I think you're afraid of religion.
I'm afraid. What am I
think you're afraid of
I'm
religion.
afraid of nothing.
I think you need to.
I think you might be afraid of a lack of religion.
No,
That's what could be,
no,
yeah.
because I've been through various phases in my
Once
faith
again,
where
you're
I've
inferring-
doubted like you have.
Yeah, but you
How
feel
do I
secure
know
now.
it is real?
You said earlier you feel secure.
Yeah.
So you must have felt doubtful.
Yeah, I have been.
Exactly, but you felt doubtful because you couldn't face the world without a God.
No,
You had to put a God in there.
I felt
It's like a
doubtful.
child, like this man was saying about children. Children need a father. They ask mommy and daddy, what should I do? Give me a purpose, give me some guidance. Children do it all the time. And it seems to me like religion is something similar. You're asking somebody to give you a purpose and a direction because you can't figure it out yourself.
Again, I've had this argument with so many different
Go on, go on.
conversations with so many different
It's
people.
fine, go on.
And I literally cannot explain it to you. You have to experience
Yeah, but if you're
it.
telling me you can't explain
you have
it to me,
experience it. I'm not a preacher. I am not well
not a
versed.
You don't
matter
need
of
to be a
others.
preacher.
No. I'm
They have
telling
no
you,
authority.
I'm not well versed in like telling people how to experience God. I'm just telling you that when
but you're sure of it.
when-
You're
I am
of
sure of it. Yes.
So how can you be sure but you're not able to explain it? If you're sure
Because
of something,
it is unexplainable. It's
then you should
irrational.
be able to explain it.
You can't explain why something happens. You can't explain how something happens. You just know that it happened.
That sounds
Sorry,
like
I've got friends to go to. Sorry.
Bring them over here, man.
yeah. But
Alright.
okay. Well, it was nice to speak to you, but I would
You too.
yeah.
Take care. Think about it. You alright?
Yeah, man. Yeah, nice listening to you. I like your argument too. I like the corner you're coming from because you're just questioning. You're saying, is this really the case?
It's just constantly question, no? Simple as that. How do you know? How do you know something?
Yeah, exactly. It seems like the only answer she had was, I've experienced it. I've experienced it. She always says that, but
I experienced aliens. Does not make it true.
I experienced in my dream that I was going to have something terrible happen to me.
Is it
I
true?
woke up, I didn't have it. So can I trust my dreams then?
I don't think you can. It's going to become other people, no?
Let me say the poem. Yo,
Listen,
soy
listen,
boy,
man.
soy power, soy milk.
There's no such thing as nothing, just to let these religious people know. There's no such thing as a nothing. We proved it, and you know Pavlov here is late to the game. I had to teach him some physics.
Soy power, soy power
Soy
here.
milk, soy milk.
Soy milk. soy power.
Soy milk every day.
Soy milk.
Content over everything. From your
Man, say it straight. Man, don't listen to BBC. Man, don't listen to ITV.
Okay. So I'd like to read.
Listen.
I like to hear how people really like to read the Bible, to recite the Bible and recite the Quran, because I think it's poetry that can never be repeated. And I like to write poetry myself, so I would like to share some of my own poetry. I will be making 9 different poems about my perception of the world. And all of them will have a different path, different shard of my being, of my ideas. The first one is Historia.